Alright, what's going on, YouTube? Lots to talk about in this video. Lots to talk about, okay? JRock, Charlo, post-fight video. Waited to Monday because there's a lot that's happened since every time I thought about doing a video on this fight, okay? Something else happened that I wanted to discuss in this video, okay? A lot of post-fight interviews, okay? A lot of post-fight interviews between the boxers, commentators, and other fighters in the division. There's a lot that was said after the actual fight. So I'm going to get into all of that. I'm going to do a review of the fight. Okay, I'm going to talk about the future of these fighters. I'm going to talk about 154, Demetrius Andrade, and just get ready for all that. So it's probably going to be a lengthy video, being that this is my favorite division, okay? All right, so going into this fight, I did a prediction video, and I believe this was the only prediction of the weekend I got wrong, okay? I gave the edge to Julian JRock Williams. I thought JRock would edge this fight by decision, okay? The reason why I said that was because I thought he was just a little bit quicker, a little bit more technical. I thought his reflexes and his defense was slightly better. But I also did say that Jermall Charlo could possibly knock him out in this fight, okay, which did happen. But I picked JRock, so I was wrong on this one. And it's funny because I actually did a 154 top 10 in the beginning of the year, which I had Jermall above, one slot above JRock. But because of the Austin Trout fight, because Jermall Charlo struggled in that fight, I gave JRock the edge in this fight, okay? I wasn't too sure if Jermall Charlo was struggling making the weight, would gas out in the later rounds, which could have possibly happened. We'll never know now because he knocked him out in the 5th round. All right, so let's review the fight. First round, I thought it was a swing round, all right? I edged it for Jermall because he landed the two most significant shots, which were counters. I can't remember exactly, but I remember in the first round, I thought it was a good, filling out round. Julian was definitely, both looked very fast. Let me make that clear. The opening round of this fight, Jermall seemed to be very fast. It's almost just as fast as Julian JRock Williams. Looked a lot more sharper in this fight from the opening round than he did in the Trout fight. So I noticed that in the very first round, and I also noticed the difference in power, okay? But I gave him the slight edge, but I thought it was I think JRock might have did a little bit more work, and might have landed a little bit more as far as jabs and stuff is concerned, but I thought the two most significant shots were landed by Charlo, and I gave him the first round. The second round, now, this is when we got the knockout, all right? The knockdown. Julian JRock got knocked down. I thought he got up too fast, okay? But, that was a rookie mistake. He got up too fast. But I thought JRock landed a huge shot later in the round, and I thought he dominated the round. Not dominated, but he clearly won the round. As in, Jermall was just trying to really get him out of there, and he didn't really land anything clean for the rest of the round, whereas JRock actually shined for the whole round. Still a 10-8 round for Jermall, but JRock definitely won that round. Like, he definitely outboxed Charlo outside of the knockdown, okay? So now going into round 3. Now, round 3 was another round that was kind of close. I thought JRock edged it, okay? I thought JRock did a little bit more for me, but I thought it was a close round. Still, very technical fight. This is my favorite type of fight. Two technicians, quick hands, sharp punches, sharp jabs, good countering, good movement, good defense. Both of these guys are really high-level technical fighters, young technical fighters, and this is why I enjoyed this fight. This is why this fight is my favorite type of boxing. I enjoyed it, all right? The third round was close, but I edged it for JRock, okay? I edged that one round for JRock. Going into the 4th round, this is the round where I thought JRock clearly won. Okay, this was the one round that I thought JRock was started to just separate himself a little bit from Jermall. Jermall didn't land much here, looked kind of slow, looked like he was slowing down a tad bit. And JRock started to get more confident after the knockdown, okay? After the knockdown, he seemed like everything was back in place. He seemed like he was back 100%. And this was the one round that I thought JRock clearly won. All right, I think that Jermall got the first two. I gave JRock 3 and 4. But 4 was the only round that was a clear, like, okay, JRock is outboxing him now. Now at this point, JRock is starting to look sharp, okay? He was just quicker, you know. He was quicker. Like I said, his reflex and his defense, if it was superior, he was slipping punches and countering. He was just looking good. Jermall started to struggle a little bit in that round, all right? And then the 5th round come. And everything that happened in the round doesn't even matter. Jermall, you know, it was funny because Jermall landed a couple of shots in this fight before he landed that uppercut. I can't remember if it was the first round or the second round, but he landed that uppercut before. Now, it wasn't I don't think it was a catch and shoot counter, you know, but I think it was, he did land, I think he did land a counter uppercut at some point. And, you know, not for nothing, but anytime Jermall landed a shot in this fight leading up to this round, it had a different effect on JRock. Even when JRock landed that big right hand, I believe it was a right hand to Charlo, which was the best shot that JRock threw in this fight in the second round. He never seemed to hurt Jermall Charlo at no point. Whereas anytime that Charlo landed something that bothered JRock, he will either go down or he would start waving, and I'm like, come on. I'm like, you know, it's kind of immature because you just letting them know that hurt, you know, and you don't want to take punches from this kid. So JRock, Jermall Charlo, and I'm probably gonna get all the names mixed up because there's too many J's. But Jermall Charlo, if you watch it in slow motion, the knockdown, right? JRock went for the 1-2. He went for the 1-2. Jermall caught it with his right hand, and then with that same hand threw the uppercut, countered, while JRock left that right out there a little too long, got lazy with it, right? Got a little too overconfident. Like I said, he had a good 4th round. Got overconfident, and Jermall caught him with that uppercut, and that was it. And let me tell you something, the way that he hit him and the way that he fell, I knew the fight was over. It was over. I knew it was over. I knew JRock was not going to hold. I didn't even think he was going to get up. I'm surprised he got up, but I knew it was over. I knew it was over. Plus, he knocked him down in the second round. I knew it was over. And, you know, JRock got up. You know, he tried to make it look like he didn't hurt. He wasn't hurt. Paulie was saying he should have held on, and Jermall got him out of there. All right. It was a great counter by Jermall. Jermall has now put himself in another class. Okay. We thought he was good already. Okay. But now he fought a guy that was a very talented fighter. You know what? I'm not gonna, you know, I listened to a couple of the reviews for the fight. You know what? You guys gotta start realizing this, that you're taking credibility away from Jermall by saying JRock was overrated. Okay, because JRock was not overrated. He wasn't even rated like that. He's a guy that's been overlooked all this time. He's not really famous like that. Not many people are talking about him except the really true diehards. And there's a lot of diehards that don't really follow him like that because he hasn't fought anybody good yet. Okay? I hear Paulie Malignaggi. I've listened to him. I listen to Paulie a lot. I love hearing his commentary, and I always love to hear what he says about, in his post-fight interview reviews and stuff. Paulie is a guy that's been following JRock for a while. Like, this is a guy he clearly respects, like I do. And what you don't want to do is take away from this Jermall's victory by saying that JRock was overrated or whatever. You don't want to do that. JRock is a very, very talented fighter. Now, maybe he doesn't have a chin. I don't know. I know he got hit hard by a guy that hits very hard. I know that. Maybe he doesn't have a chin. Maybe in his next fight, he might fight a guy that is better than everybody else he fought besides Charlo, but may not hit as hard, and he might get dropped again. Who knows? If he goes on to fight Austin Trout, because now they both lost to Jermall Charlo, and Jermall Charlo is a guy that you have to put up for Fighter of the Year, in my opinion. I think he has to be put up. I don't think he is, but he's one of the top 10 fighters of the year, in my opinion. He's definitely done the most in his division this year. He's the most impressive fighter in 154. He's at least top 10. Okay? And he beat a very good fighter, a very skilled fighter, a guy that is very talented. And you can't take away his win by saying that Jermall wasn't that good. To say that JRock wasn't that good. You can't do that to him. It's unfair to him. And it's unfair to JRock because JRock got knocked out by a guy that might really be the best fighter at 154. He might be it. Paulie Malignaggi said that he thinks he's pound for pound and that he thinks he can beat Canelo right now. He already thinks he's pound for pound. Now, I wouldn't go as far as saying he's pound for pound. But he's one significant win away from being discussed there. Because right now, I don't know if he can beat Canelo. I don't know. I think, I've always said that I don't think anyone can win a decision over Canelo at 154. Because, look what happened with one of the judges when he fought Floyd. Look what happened at the Lara fight. A lot of people thought Lara won the fight. And the judges are by his side. He is a star. He's a star in the sport. I don't know if anyone can beat anyone at 154 can beat Canelo clearly enough to win a decision against him. I think Jermall has the best chance, and I also think that Demetrius Andrade has a great chance. But anyway, it was a great win. It was a great win. And I'm not saying that because I was wrong in a prediction or anything. No, I'm saying that because I believe JRock is that good. Now, JRock goes on to lose every significant fight from here on the rest of his career. Then, okay, later we can say that JRock really wasn't that good. I don't know. I personally think, and let's get into the futures of these fighters. Before I get to that, let me speak on the post-fight. Obviously there was a lot of emotion in that win. Jermall, there was a lot of things said leading up to this fight. It's been a few years now, and I brought this up in a prediction video. It's been a lot of talking between both camps for the past 2 to 3 years. Okay. JRock felt that he wasn't getting the opportunities the twins were getting because he's not a twin. He said that. Okay. There's been a lot of words exchanged even leading up to this fight. Maybe JRock was overconfident. I don't know. He might have lost his fight because he was overconfident. Me personally, I thought JRock was going to do a little bit more lateral movement. I didn't think he was going to square up with him and stand in front of him the whole time. But he was very confident in his skills. He thought he was a better boxer. Going into this fight, he was saying that he was going to give him a boxing lesson and that he just doesn't think Jermall's really that good, And I think he might have been a little overconfident. I thought he would do a little bit more lateral movement. I thought he would. That's the thing I thought he would do. That's the one thing that I expected from JRock was for him to do a little bit more movement, not just stand there and have play a chess match with Jermall Charlo, the guy who's clearly bigger, that hits much harder. I didn't think he would do that, but he did. you know, and it is what it is. He tried. At least he fought him, you know. At least he fought him straight up. You know, he did what he thought. You know, he's still young in the game. All right. But it was a lot of emotion going to this fight. And, you know, this is the thing about the Charlo's twins, and you have to take this, you have to put this into account. The Charlo twins, they fight, they feel like no one respects them. They don't feel like they get the credit they deserve. And they still won't, even after this win. You know, they don't feel like, this is why they come off so angry. You know, and I'm telling you this because, you know, I know Jermall, you know, and I've been following the both of them for a long time. I never met Jermall, but I'm familiar with both of them, and they're familiar with me. And I've been following both of them for a long time, and I'm gonna tell you that they don't feel like they're getting the credit they deserve, and they still don't feel that way. They still fight. They're both champions, and they still fight like they're two guys on the come up. They still fight like two, prospects. You know, because Jermall lost to Trout, which I went back and watched. I went back and watched that fight. I went back and watched because I wanted to see the difference in Jermall in the Trout fight and in this fight. You know, and I think physically, I think Jermall was just quicker. I thought he was sharper in this fight. I thought he was in better condition in this fight than he was against Austin Trout. Plus, I also thought that Austin Trout just took the punches better. Okay, I think he had a better chin. He's a much more experienced fighter than Julian JRock Williams. Much more experienced fighter. All right? Those twins don't feel like they get the credit they deserve. And once again, just like the Trout fight, Jermall wins a fight and he's getting booed in the crowd. He's getting booed, regardless of why. Because obviously he did it because he was very emotional after the fight. You know, he was talking a lot. He told JRock to get out of here when he came to try to, be respectful. And the crowd didn't like it. And once again, he's getting booed. Right? These two don't feel like they're getting the credit they deserve. And that's why they come off being so angry all of the time. You know? Ronnie Shields tried to check him. You know, if you watched it, you saw it. You saw the whole thing. But listen, that's part of the game. You know, the guy he just won. And he was fired up. You know, and JRock tried to come and show his respect, and he wasn't having it. Now, if you don't know, there is a video out there. I believe it's on Fight Hype's channel. I could be wrong. But back in the lockers, they did give each other a hug. They did show respect. All right. So I was glad to see that. You know, I was glad to see that. But even we didn't see it. Whatever. It is what it is. Now, as far as JRock, this is what I want from JRock. Me personally, let's not go back to fighting not so good fighters. Let's not go back to that. I know you got a knockout loss, but we can't go back into you fighting the same level of fighters you were fighting before you fought Charlo. We can't go back to that because we already know you're going to beat all those guys. It's not going to make you any better. We need to go straight to fighting other top guys in the division. Okay, whoever it is, you got to fight other good fighters. And this is why, and I'm going to put that clip up too, because I explain all of this and how to fix boxing. I said, I said specifically that Julian JRock Williams has not fought anyone up to Jermall Charlo. He didn't gradually improve in his level of opposition. All right, he went straight from fighting bums to fighting a champion and one of the top 5 fighters in the division. Top 3 in my opinion. Before this fight, I had him top 3 in my top 10. And that's not a smart move. No matter how talented you are, you need a rough fight. You need fights that's going to make you. That's why Austin Trout did so well against Jermall. Because he's been fighting guys like Cotto, Canelo, okay, Iris Landy Lara, all right? Even the Daniel Dawson fight where he got knocked down 2 times. You know, they're tough fights. He's been down and he's come back and won fights. Or he's been down and he always got back up. The dude has major experience. Julian JRock needs to be fighting guys like Austin Trout in his very next fight. in his very next fight, if possible. Okay, he should fight Austin Trout still. Okay, because Austin Trout, in my opinion, is still in his prime. And if he is past his prime, he's not that far past it. We seen that earlier this year. All right, he needs to fight guys like that. He needs to fight guys like Vanes Monterosian. Okay, at least an Ishe Smith, maybe a Tony Harrison. These are all fighters that's at 154. That's with Al Heyman. Jarrett Hurd, fight Jarrett Hurd. You know, why not fight him now? Why wait? Why go back to fighting a bunch of bums where you're not improving? You're gonna need tough fights to where you got the experience. You've been down. Now you know next time you get knocked down. If you get knocked down, next time you get knocked down, you know not to just jump right back up. You know? Now he's going to be a little bit more mindful. That's how you gain experience. And sometimes you gain experience through losses. You know, it is what it is. You got a loss on your record. You lost to a very good fighter. What if Jermall goes on to be the best fighter at 154 and goes on to 160 and have major success up there? Is the loss going to seem that bad if Jermall has a successful career? No, it's not. You know, what if he becomes an elite fighter? He might be an elite fighter now. What if he goes on to be one of the boxing best? We don't know, you know? So JRock needs to get back into the ring and fight someone good. Maybe not the best, but at minimum an Ishe Smith. You know, someone that's been there, someone that's experienced, someone that can give you a good fight, even with victory or another loss or whatever. You just need the experience. He needs that. He shouldn't have jumped up that fast. And I said that in past videos. I said it. Oh, all right. Let's speak on Charlo and his future. What's next? Now, I personally wanted him to at least fight Julian Williams before going up to 160. Obviously, making 154, it didn't affect him too much. I mean, if you look at the weights, they both came in weighing less than 160 on fight night. All right. So these guys didn't even come in weighing. I thought these guys were going to come in weighing, I don't know, 170 or something. You know, both of these guys came in still weighing 158, 159. All right, which was very, very interesting, you know. Charlo, I mean, obviously, listen, if he stays at 154, I would love to see him fight Canelo or Demetrius Andrade. Those are the two fights I really want to see between Jermall Charlo. I want him to fight Demetrius Andrade or Canelo Alvarez. I do not think Canelo's going to fight him. Okay, let's make the Demetrius Andrade fight. I know what Demetrius Andrade did. I know there's been consistencies with Andrade. I know he pulled out of the Jermall Charlo fight. All right, I know he has issues with his promoter still because he still hasn't fought again. He was supposed to fight that Jack Coquet guy. I probably said his name wrong. He was calling out everybody earlier this year. And then when the Lara thing came up, he was saying that I don't really want to fight Lara. That's not going to be a good fight. I don't know. You know, I don't know what's up with Andrade, man. I don't know. You know, he was at the presser. He was at the fight. I don't know. You know, I don't know what's up with him. But if Jermall goes up to fight, if he goes up to 160, there's still plenty of fights there. He doesn't even have to fight Triple G. You know, if he's really serious and saying, you know, that I'll fight Triple G, or if he's really serious about that and Triple G will take him up on his offense, then that's cool. But if not, fight Danny Jacobs, you know. Fight Danny Jacobs. I mean, he's supposed to be fighting Triple G now, but, you know, fight one of the champions. He should be able to fight one of the champions. Fight Billy Joe Saunders. Fight a past champion. Fight David Lemieux. I think he could beat David Lemieux. You know, right now. The Billy Joe fight would be a good fight. I would love to see that fight. You know, I didn't watch Saunders' last fight. I heard he looked like crap in that last fight, but I didn't watch it. Yet. I didn't get around to it yet. But there's plenty of options for Jermall. But at 154, I want to see Canelo. I want to see Andrade. You know, speaking of Andrade, let's not forget how good he is as well. Okay? Right now, I'm not sure who I would think would win the fight between Jermall Charlo and Andrade. But what I will say is I did also go back and watch Andre's fight against Willie Nelson. All right, and I know that's Willie Nelson. Listen, Jermall Charlo and his wins against Trout and JRock are more impressive to me than the wins over Vanes Monteroshin and Willie Nelson. More impressive than Boo Boo's wins. Okay, I respect Jermall Charlo's wins more, especially in the fashion that he knocked JRock out. And you know, I respect those wins more. Okay, that's my personal opinion. You know, Willie Nelson's a good fighter, and I think he's a top 10 fighter at 154. I put him in my top 10 as well. I put him at like number 9 or number 8 or something like that. Willie Nelson's a good fighter, but he's not JRock and he's not Austin Trout, in my opinion. All right, Willie Nelson's a good fighter, but he's always been chinny. He's tall, but you know, he doesn't use his length or anything as an advantage. You know, he's a guy that is chinny, that likes to fight on the inside, you know, likes to trade, but he's a chinny fighter. The Vanes Monteroshin, good win. That's definitely a good win, but beating Trout and beating JRock to me is better to me overall. And but we can't forget how good Demetrius Andrade is. Demetrius Andrade is better than JRock. All right, JRock. If I were to compare these guys now, you got to remember Demetrius Andrade is the most well-rounded fighter at 154. No ifs, ands, and buts. All right, the guy could stick on the outside and outbox you. He can outbox you on the inside. He has better inside game. He can outbox you from the outside. Okay, the guy hits hard. His volume is high. Okay, he can box or he can brawl. All right, and he has good defense, and he has good inside defense too. All right, he could be very close to you and still hard to hit. All right, the dude's a southpaw. He is like a bunch of fighters all mixed in one. All right, not saying that he can beat Jermall. All right, because right now I would kind of edge it for Jermall, but I'm not really showing that. If they were to ever fight and I ever had to do a prediction video, the only issues I've had with Demetrius Andrade and his style is he takes a lot of risks. All right, he takes a lot of risks, and he takes more risks than JRock does. You know, so he could get caught just like how JRock got caught. You know, but he's more of a fighter. You know, he hits harder than JRock. I don't think he's as fast. You know, I don't think he has the same kind of reflexes, but he's very close to JRock on that level. But he's definitely more well-rounded than JRock, and he definitely hits more. It hits harder, and he has more experience. Okay, so Demetrius Andrade, the fight at 154 is between those two. That's if Canelo chooses to not fight any of them. You know, if Canelo wants to, it's hard to even bring Canelo in it because he fought Amir Khan this year. You know, he fought a welterweight this year. You know, he's dipping and diving and he's fighting at catch weights. I don't know what Canelo's really trying to do here. You know, but what I will say is that I hope the Charlo, the Andrade fight happens. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen, man. You know, I don't know. I feel like I wish Andrade that went to Al Heyman and left. You know, Star Boxing, and I just don't know why he re-signed with them, because he seems like he should have went over there with Al Heyman if he wants to be a 154 fighter. Even at 160, he talked about moving up at 160. He still should have been with Al Heyman if he wanted to go to 162. You know? So I don't know if that fight is realistic. You know, I don't know. You know, I saw him at the presser. It was cool that he came out, made it known. You know, he pissed the twins off even more. Jermall was in the crowd too. There was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of talking. But that's the fight. That's the fight right there. You know? Alright, so let me finish up this video. Let me know what you guys think about the fight itself. Who should Charlo face next? Should he go to 160? Should he try to stay and get a fight with Demetrius Andrade or Canelo Alvarez? Should he, what's the future of JRock? Okay, do you think JRock still has a future at 154? Who do you want to see JRock fight next? All right, let me know. All right, and I got another video to do for the other fights from the weekend. So let me know, and make sure you guys hit subscribe. All right, peace.